Alright, here's a quick demo of a really scuffed b-hopping system in Infinite. You walk around normal and everything looks fine, and then you start jumping and getting up in the air and you start gaining speed. It's kind of scuffed, and you only jump in the way you're walking, so right now, or the way you're looking. So all you really have to do is just spam jump, and it's gonna apply velocity in the direction that you're looking. So you can kind of get some, like, you can kind of get the illusion that you're b-hopping, like it looks way smoother than it actually is. Like, it's kind of janky as fuck. And sometimes you get this weird, like, even when you're grounded, sometimes it bugs out, but you can actually b-hop around and get a little bit of air control. Because normally in Halo, the air control is quite... It's not like it's not there, it's just kind of like, not like it would be in CS or Quake or Apex, these other shooters that you can actually airstrafe and b-hop in. So as you can see, it's kind of hard to see actually, but the velocity goes in the direction you're looking. So if I was to jump and go straight, and then land, I'm gonna land right here. And if I do the same thing again, but then halfway through the jump I start looking in another direction, you're gonna see that that didn't really do it too well. If I go to the left, you'll see it. It's kind of hard to see. You might be able to see it a lot easier when you're actually hopping around and trying. Because right now, I'm only hitting the jump key. You don't have to, hold any movement keys for this, which is how it's kind of scuffed. We have no way of, like, getting user input, like, which direction they're walking. We have, we don't have, like, a movement axis or anything to, like, read which way the person's actually putting input in. If we did, we could actually make this a lot better. So as you can see, like, when I jump, it just applies force in the direction that I'm looking. Constantly, well, kind of constantly. The every in seconds node here is kind of weird. So let's break down the node. It's the node graph. It's really scuffed. So maybe also playing with the number of seconds that it tries to do it might help. It needs a lot of work, but how the quick breakdown is every time it can possibly run this node, it's going to, so every 0 seconds. So it's going to try to run it as often as it will. And if you've experimented with this node, you know that it doesn't happen every single frame, which is frustrating. So we're branching to a condition checking if the player is airborne. So right now I'm just getting a random player because I'm the only one on the server, and it just makes it easier to test stuff out. So we're checking if I'm airborne, and if we're airborne, we're coming over here and checking again if operand A is less than B, and B is 60. So we're checking if the vector length of our velocity, so basically we're checking if the magnitude of our velocity is greater than 60. If it's greater than 60, we're not going to do anything. So we're getting the player's velocity, checking its length, basically checking how fast we're going. If we're going above 60 units, then we're not going to do anything. But if we're below 60 units, then we're going to go over here and set velocity, and we're adding in, we're doing a little bit down here. So we're getting the player aiming vector. So this is basically just like a line through your screen, basically, like which way, basically the way you're aiming. The scale vector, so what we're doing is, because this number is between, I think it's between -1 and 1, and we want it to actually, like, apply force in the direction we're looking, so we're going to scale it by 10 so that the number is actually, like, something. You know, some value we can add force to. And then we're getting the vector axis value, so we're breaking this vector 3 out into its parts, and we're not passing the z through, because if we did, I'll show you real quick, we actually connected these, and we hit play. It works like you think it would. Everything it works, it still works, except that now you can fly up into space like you're in forge mode. So you want to not pass in the z-axis. And then we're adding this this whole chain of vectors together with the object's velocity that it currently is, which is coming off of the getRandomPlayer node. And we're getting its velocity, and we're adding the two of them together, and then we're setting the object velocity. Now this is kind of a very hacky solution. It's not super clean. You're not guaranteed to always be below 60, because of how fast this updates, and that we're not checking again. We're not checking down here. Like, you could add these together and say, hey, is the value of, when we add these two vectors together, is the value above our 60 here? Okay, if not, then we should clamp it down. You could totally do that. It's just, the game has crashed like 3 or 4 times of me trying to make this example, and it's very buggy right now. But it's kind of a B-hop system. Like, it does what it's supposed to if you ignore the very big stutters. Like, that's not game lag that you're seeing, the screen stutters. That's just the inconsistent update rate of every n seconds. That node is, it's not clean. It's kind of like the difference between frame rate and frame time. Like, it's not the amount of times it updates per for a certain duration isn't consistent. And in the testing that I've done, I've noticed that it ranges between like updating once every 10 times a second to up to 40 times a second. It's been really, maybe when the game actually comes out, the every n seconds node will be better, and we'll also get some user input checking, because if we could check for input, we could add in like WASD movement keys here, or, you know, joystick movement keys to actually like control which way you're moving in the air, like without where you're looking, because right now it only goes where you're looking. So like, if I jump and go this way and then turn around real fast, it's gonna slow me down, because, you know, we're applying velocity. See, like I did a little like U-turn. And you can see it's really inconsistent. Sometimes I can get that U-turn to happen, sometimes I can't. It's just that update not happening frequently enough. So I really hope they give us more tools to play with player physics and player inputs, because this could open the door for actually, like, maybe not like a one-to-one replica of how b-hopping works in Apex or CS, but we'll at least be able to get close, and it won't be in, if they had more in the, it wasn't so bugged, but still. It's pretty cool though. It's fun, at least. I mean, it's fun to hop around, so I don't... Still pretty jank though. And there's currently no way, as you can see, look, there's no way to disable it right now. There's nothing stopping you from like applying a similar effect like this when someone uses a if someone like has like an overshield or something, applying, like, you know, enabling b-hop or whatever. I'm pretty sure you could do something like that with with traits. You can check if well, can you check for traits? I'm not sure. Still, I need more testing needs to happen. I need the game to actually come out so I can actually test stuff in multiplayer and like watch someone else jump around and, you know, see how it looks on from third person. And we need a few more nodes to clean it up, and it just needs more love and care. But yeah, that's b-hopping. Here's the nodes. Well, b-hopping, I wouldn't really call it b-hopping. Fake b-hopping. Not too spaghetti code, but it could be cleaner. So the only things that you would really need to change for this is operand B on the compare here after the get vector length. This determines the max speed that it will apply to, and the scale vector down here to increase how much speed you get per. So you're gonna see here, if I actually increase this to like 100, you're gonna see I'm gonna get way more speed than I normally would, and it's gonna be kind of like, you see, it's kind of like, it's like inconsistent. Like I'm sometimes going really, really fast, and sometimes I'm going the normal speed. And it all has to do with how fast the every n second update happens. If it happened consistently all the time at, like, let's say like 30 FPS or 60, we can kind of make it work, but right now it's a little buggy. Everything's just a little scuffed right now, but